The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance hung suspended in space, a massive ring-shaped structure that gleamed like a diamond against the backdrop of stars. Inside, representatives from 23 advanced civilizations gathered for an emergency meeting. Admiral Blake of the Earth Defense Force had no idea this meeting was taking place as his ship, the EDF Vigilant, patrolled the outer edges of Jupiter's orbit. It was supposed to be a routine mission, monitoring the gas giant's volatile storms and maintaining the research stations scattered across its moons. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, the debate grew heated. The Meridians, a species of tall, crystalline beings, stood before the council. Their leader, Commander Reed, spoke with desperation in his harmonically layered voice. "Our colonies are falling. The Dominion advances. We need new allies." Reed's crystal body pulsed with urgent patterns of light. The humans have shown remarkable progress. Their adaptability. "No," the ancient voice of Elder Gray, oldest of the council members, cut through the chamber. His species had guided galactic civilization for millions of years. Humans are unpredictable. Their history is drenched in conflict. Their innovation in warfare is unprecedented. We have watched them split atoms for destruction, turn peaceful technologies into weapons. Other council members nodded in agreement. They had all studied Earth from afar, watching as humans advance from stone tools to space travel in a mere blink of galactic time. "But that's exactly why we need them," Reed insisted. "The Dominion overwhelms us with superior technology. Humans find ways to win despite technological disadvantages. They think differently." Elder Gray's ancient eyes narrowed. "That is precisely why they are dangerous. Their minds work in ways we cannot predict. Their responses to situations defy logical analysis. They are capable of both great compassion and terrible violence." The debate raged for hours. The Meridians grew more desperate. Their civilian population was being decimated by the Dominion's advance. Traditional military tactics had failed. Their sophisticated weapons proved useless against the Dominion's defenses. In the end, the council voted. The decision was clear. Humans were to be left alone until they discovered interstellar travel on their own terms. Any contact before then was strictly forbidden. But the Meridians had already set their plan in motion. Back near Jupiter, Admiral Blake noticed something odd on his sensors. At first, he thought it was a malfunction. A ship appearing out of nowhere far larger than anything humans had built. "All stations, battle ready," he ordered, following standard first contact protocols. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, even though none of them actually believed they'd ever use these protocols. The alien ship approached slowly, broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was in perfect English. "We come in peace and desperate need." Blake knew he should wait for orders from Earth. He knew there were protocols, procedures, careful steps to be taken. But something in that message's tone, the word desperate, made him hesitate. "Open a channel," he commanded. The screen lit up with the image of Commander Reed. The crystalline being's form shocked the bridge crew into silence, but Blake maintained his composure. "This is Admiral Blake of the Earth Defense Force. You're in restricted space." "Admiral." Reed's lights pulsed with what seemed like relief. "We apologize for this intrusion, but we have no choice. Our civilization faces extinction. We need humanity's help." In that moment, though neither Blake nor Reed knew it, they were changing galactic history. The Meridians had broken the Council's highest law, and humans were about to be thrust into a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. As Blake listened to Reed's explanation, Elder Gray's warnings echoed through the council chamber light years away. "Humans will not simply join your war. They will change it. They will change everything." He had no idea how right he was. The first step had been taken. The Meridians had done what was forbidden, and humanity's isolation was about to end. The galaxy would never be the same. The United Nations Security Council chamber had never been so tense. On the massive screen before them, the crystalline form of Commander Reed glowed softly as he explained the situation. Admiral Blake stood at the podium, having just finished his report about the Jupiter contact. The Dominion, Reed's translated voice echoed through the chamber, has conquered 12 star systems in the past year alone. Their technology surpasses ours. Their warships can disable our weapons before we get within range. We are losing this war. The world leaders exchanged concerned looks. The Russian president leaned forward. And why should Earth involve itself in your conflict? We have our own problems to solve. Reed's crystal body pulsed with dark blue light. Because the Dominion will not stop with our worlds. They expand endlessly. Earth will eventually face them, alone, if you refuse our alliance. The Chinese premier spoke next. You offer technology in exchange for military aid. How do we know this technology won't harm our world? We will share everything gradually, Reed replied, starting with medical advances that could end most human diseases, then clean energy technology that could solve your climate crisis, finally, faster than light travel. The chamber erupted in whispers. FTL travel had been humanity's dream for centuries. But the American president raised her hand, and in return, we need your military innovation, your tactical thinking, Reed paused, searching for the right word, unpredictability. At a secure military base in Nevada, scientists were already examining a small piece of Meridian technology, a medical scanner that could detect and cure cancer in minutes. The results were beyond anything they had imagined possible. Back in the UN chamber, the debate continued for hours. Some nations pushed for immediate alliance, seeing the technological benefits. Others urged caution, fearing Earth would become a target. The Dominion doesn't know we've contacted you, Reed explained. We can prepare in secret. When they discover our alliance, you'll already have some of our technology integrated into your defenses. The Indian representative stood up. What makes you think humans can succeed where your advanced civilization has failed? Reed's lights shifted to a pattern they would later learn indicated something like a smile. 2 Earth months ago, we observed your military response to a hurricane. You had ships moving away from the storm, planes flying into it, and submarines monitoring from below. 3 different approaches simultaneously. Our species would have chosen the most logical path and followed it exclusively. This is what we need. Minds that see multiple solutions to one problem. As if to prove Reed's point, military strategists worldwide were already drafting potential plans. The Chinese proposed converting asteroids into stealth weapons platforms. The Russians suggested adapting submarine warfare tactics to space. The Americans were designing hybrid weapons combining Earth technology with Meridian principles. After 3 days of debate, the vote was held. Earth would ally with the Meridians, but with conditions. The technology transfer would be monitored. Earth would maintain independent military command. And most importantly, the Meridians would help establish a planetary defense system before any offensive operations began. As the agreement was signed, Reed's body glowed with bright golden light. You won't regret this decision, he said. In the observation gallery, Admiral Blake watched with mixed feelings. I hope we don't regret it either, he muttered. Unknown to everyone in that chamber, a stealth probe from the Dominion had already detected the Meridian ship's arrival at Jupiter. The information was speeding through space toward the Dominion's central command. And in the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Gray received the news of the alliance with deep concern. They don't understand what they've done, he told his fellow elders. Humans won't just fight this war. They'll revolutionize it. The galaxy isn't ready for human warfare. On Earth, as news of the alliance spread, military facilities worldwide began preparing for the biggest technological leap in human history. The age of Earth isolation was over. Humanity was about to make its mark on the galaxy, for better or worse. The Meridians had ignored the warnings. There was no turning back now. The desert facility buzzed with activity as Meridian engineers watched in confusion. The human scientists weren't following any of the standard protocols for integrating alien technology. Instead, they were taking everything apart, mixing, and matching components in ways that made the Meridians deeply uncomfortable. You can't combine the quantum stabilizer with primitive radio technology, one Meridian technician protested. It's not compatible. The head scientist, Dr. Miller, didn't even look up from his work. That's exactly why it might work. The Dominion will be looking for quantum signatures, not radio waves. We're making it deliberately low-tech. 3 months into the alliance, and this scene was playing out in research facilities across Earth. Humans weren't just learning the new technology. They were reinventing it. At a military testing ground in the Australian outback, the first hybrid fighter craft took flight. It looked wrong to Meridian eyes, a mix of sleek alien metals and purposefully crude Earth materials. But when it vanished completely from both standard and advanced sensors, the Meridian observers fell silent. "How did you mask the energy signature?" Commander Reed asked, his crystalline form pulsing with curiosity. "We didn't," Admiral Blake replied. "We made it look like space junk. Your sensors are too sophisticated. They filter out what they think is debris. We're using your technology's assumptions against it." The first joint military operation came sooner than expected. A Dominion scout fleet was detected approaching a Meridian colony world. It was time to test the new hybrid weapons and tactics. The Meridian fleet commanders watched in horror as the human ships deliberately scattered, breaking every rule of proper space combat formation. "You're leaving gaps in your defense," they warned. Admiral Blake's voice came calm over the comm. "Those aren't gaps. They're traps." When the Dominion fleet arrived, they found what appeared to be a disorganized, poorly coordinated defense. They pushed forward confidently, following their standard attack protocols, exactly as humans had predicted they would. The trap was sprung, hidden among fields of actual space debris. Human ships using modified Meridian cloaking technology attacked from multiple directions. Their weapons, a crude but effective combination of Earth missiles and Meridian energy technology, overwhelmed the Dominion's defenses. "Impossible," the Meridian tactical officer whispered as the Dominion ships fell into confusion. "Their shields should have stopped those weapons." "Normal Meridian weapons hit the shields head-on," Blake explained. "We designed ours to go around them. Sometimes the complex solution isn't the best solution." The battle was over in less than an hour. The Dominion fleet retreated, leaving behind 5 destroyed ships and no clear understanding of what had just happened to them. In the aftermath, Reed's crystal body glowed with excitement. "This changes everything. We must immediately implement these tactics across all our forces." But Blake shook his head. "No, we need to keep changing tactics. The moment they adapt to these methods, we'll switch to something completely different. Keep them guessing." The news of the victory spread quickly. In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Gray watched the battle recordings with growing concern. "Do you see now?" he asked his fellow council members. "They turned our most advanced technology into a delivery system for primitive explosives. They're thinking in ways we cannot predict." "Perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needs," suggested another elder. "Change." Back on Earth, the development of new hybrid technologies accelerated. Each success brought more confidence, more innovation, more uniquely human solutions to alien problems. In a secure bunker deep beneath the Pentagon, military strategists were already planning the next phase. On their screens, simulations showed human-designed ships using modified Meridian technology in ways that would have horrified their alien allies, if they knew about them. "The Dominion expects logical, predictable responses," Blake told his staff. "We'll give them chaos instead." As humanity prepared for their next encounter with the Dominion, one thing became clear: the galaxy wasn't ready for human warfare. But ready or not, it was about to experience it firsthand. The learning curve wasn't just steep, it was being completely redrawn. The Dominion High Command's war room was in chaos. The massive holographic display showed another fleet defeat, the third in 2 weeks. The Supreme Commander slammed his metallic fist on the table. "These can't be Meridian tactics," he growled. Their combat patterns have completely changed. They're fighting like savages. A junior analyst stepped forward, nervous but determined. "Sir, we've confirmed the source. The Meridians have allied with a primitive species from a quarantine system. They're called humans." The Supreme Commander's eyes narrowed. Humans, the violent species the Council warned everyone about. He turned to his generals. "How did we not know about this sooner?" "They hid their alliance well," one general admitted. "And they're using our own scanning protocols against us. Their ships look like debris until they're right on top of our forces." In response, the Dominion launched Operation Blackout, a massive campaign to isolate Earth from its new allies. They set up blockades between star systems, expecting to cut off human forces from Meridian support. They didn't expect the humans to go under the blockade. Submarines in space. Reed's crystalline form flickered with disbelief as he watched the footage. "That's impossible." Admiral Blake smiled. "We took your stealth technology and combined it with our deep-sea pressure hull designs. The Dominion is looking for ships moving through space. They're not looking for ships moving through the gravity wells of stars." Earth's new space submarines slipped through the Dominion blockades by diving deep into the gravitational fields that the Dominion avoided. They emerged behind enemy lines, striking supply routes and communications hubs before disappearing again. The Dominion responded by fortifying their major bases with their most advanced detection systems. The humans responded by not attacking the bases at all. "Why waste resources attacking fortified positions?" Blake explained to the frustrated Meridian commanders. "We're fighting a guerrilla war in space. Hit their supply lines, destroy their infrastructure, and let their bases become useless islands in space." In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Gray watched the escalating conflict with growing alarm. "The humans aren't just fighting the Dominion," he told his fellow elders. "They're changing the very nature of space warfare. Look at these tactics. They're treating the void of space like an ocean, using stellar gravity as terrain. No species has ever fought like this." The Dominion's losses mounted. Their once unstoppable fleets were being picked apart by hit-and-run attacks from ships that appeared to be nothing more than space rocks until they opened fire. Their supply lines were in shambles, their communications disrupted by human electronic warfare techniques that seemed primitive but proved devastatingly effective. In desperation, the Dominion launched a massive offensive against what they thought was a human supply base. They found an empty station broadcasting false signals and walked right into a minefield made from modified Meridian technology. "The humans are teaching us to think differently," Reed admitted to his council. "We've had this technology for centuries, but we never imagined using it like this." But the Dominion was learning too. They began adapting their strategies, developing countermeasures against human tactics. The humans simply changed their approach again and again, never using the same strategy twice. "That's the problem with fighting humans," Blake told his staff. "You can learn to counter our tactics, but we'll just come up with new ones. We don't need our plans to work forever. They just need to work once." The galaxy watched as the conflict escalated. Some species began secretly supporting the Human Meridian Alliance, seeing a chance to break the Dominion's power. Others warned that humanity's influence would destabilize thousands of years of established military doctrine. Both groups were right. As the Dominion's frustration grew, their tactics became more aggressive, more desperate. They began preparing for a decisive strike, not against the Meridian homeworld, but against Earth itself. They had decided that the only way to stop humanity's influence was to eliminate it completely. They were about to learn why that was a very, very bad idea. The research facility deep beneath Mount Baker hummed with activity. On the main floor, Dr. Miller stood before a hybrid device that made even the Meridian scientists uncomfortable. It wasn't just the way it looked, a mess of Earth metals and crystalline Meridian technology, but what it represented. "You've created a weapon that breaks the laws of physics," one Meridian scientist protested, his crystal form flickering with distress. "No," Miller corrected, adjusting a seemingly primitive dial. We've created a weapon that breaks your understanding of physics. There's a difference. The device was humanity's latest innovation, a field generator that could temporarily change the properties of space itself. The Meridians had similar technology, but had never considered using it as a weapon. Humans, on the other hand, saw possibilities everywhere. Admiral Blake watched the test from the observation deck. "Will it work?" "In theory," Miller replied. "It will create a bubble where Dominion energy weapons become solid matter. Their own shots will turn into physical objects and bounce back at them." The Meridians had given humans access to their scientific database, expecting them to follow the established paths of technological development. Instead, humans treated it like a buffet, mixing and matching different scientific principles in ways that made their alien allies deeply nervous. In orbital shipyards around Earth, vessels were being constructed that defied conventional design. They looked like they had been built by different species, because they had been. Human engineers were combining Meridian crystal technology with Earth metals, creating ships that could change their physical properties mid-battle. "Your ships don't make sense," Reed observed, watching a test flight. "They're too heavy to be fast, too lightly armed to be battleships, too small to be carriers." "That's because they're all of those things at once," Blake explained. "We took your matter phase technology and modified it. These ships can change their entire structure during combat." The demonstration proved his point. The test ship suddenly shifted, its hull flowing like liquid metal, transforming from a heavy battleship to a swift interceptor in seconds. The Meridian observers fell silent. In weapons labs across the planet, humans were developing innovations that terrified their allies. They created missiles that could phase through shields, fighters that could briefly exist in multiple locations, and defense systems that turned enemy weapons against themselves. But it wasn't just military technology. Human scientists began solving problems that had puzzled the Meridians for centuries. They approached alien technology not with reverence, but with a willingness to break it down and rebuild it in new ways. "You're using our faster-than-light drive as a power source," a Meridian engineer asked, horrified. "Why not?" Miller shrugged. "It generates more energy than our current reactors, and we figured out how to contain it using modified Earth superconductors. Yes, it's dangerous, but so is everything worth doing." The Dominion's intelligence analysts were becoming increasingly alarmed. Their reports showed human innovation accelerating at an unprecedented rate. Every time they developed a counter to one human weapon, 3 new ones appeared. In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Gray reviewed the latest reports with growing concern. "They're not just using the technology," he told his fellow elders. "They're changing it, combining it in ways we never imagined. They're forcing the galaxy to evolve." Back on Earth, the next phase was already beginning. Human scientists had started exploring the theoretical limits of combined human Meridian technology. Their ideas ranged from the brilliant to the terrifying. "We need to be ready," Blake told the Joint Human Meridian Command. "The Dominion won't stay on the defensive forever. When they strike back, it will be with everything they have." Reed's crystalline form, pulsed with what humans had learned, was anxiety. "We've given them too much technology, too fast. Perhaps the Council was right to warn us." "No," Blake replied, studying the latest weapon designs. "You gave us exactly what we needed: possibilities. What we're doing with those possibilities, that's on us." The innovation continued, each new development pushing the boundaries of what both humans and Meridians thought possible. The galaxy was changing, forced to evolve by humanity's relentless drive to combine, modify, and reimagine everything they touched. The real question was, would the galaxy survive the evolution? Earth's early warning system detected the Dominion fleet 3 days before they arrived. It was massive, the largest invasion force ever assembled in the galaxy's history. Nearly 10,000 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. "This is it," Admiral Blake announced to the combined Earth Defense Force. They're done playing games. They're coming to end this. But Earth was ready. The past months of innovation and preparation were about to be tested. Every satellite, space station, and piece of debris in Earth's orbit had been modified with hybrid technology. Earth itself had been transformed into a fortress that would have made any invasion force think twice, if they could have detected the defenses at all. The Dominion Supreme Commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Surrender the humans, and the Meridian worlds will be spared. Resist, and we will destroy Earth entirely." The response came not from military command, but from every radio telescope, communications device, and transmitter on and around Earth. A cacophony of voices from every nation, speaking in different languages, but carrying the same message. Come and try. The battle began at Jupiter. The Dominion fleet encountered what appeared to be an abandoned mining operation. Their sensors showed nothing dangerous, until the mining equipment activated, revealing itself as a massive weapons platform. The entire Jupiter orbital zone had been converted into a trap. Impossible, the Dominion commander growled as his frontline ships were caught in gravitational fields that shouldn't exist. Their technology isn't advanced enough for this. But it wasn't just advanced technology, it was human innovation. The debris field around Jupiter came alive. Abandoned satellites turned into weapon platforms. Seemingly dead ships transformed into fighters. Space itself seemed to fight against the Dominion fleet. Commander Reed watched from the Meridian command ship as humans demonstrated warfare on a scale that terrified even their allies. "They've turned the entire solar system into a weapon," he observed, his crystalline form pulsing with a mix of awe and fear. The Dominion pressed forward, losing ships by the hundreds but still advancing. They reached Mars, only to find the planet's dust storms had been seeded with nanobots that ate through their hull plating. The asteroid belt became a minefield of phase-shifted rocks that could pass through shields as if they didn't exist. But the Dominion had come prepared. They deployed their latest weapons, technologies developed specifically to counter human innovations. For a moment, it seemed they might break through. That's when Earth revealed its final defense. Dr. Miller's voice came over the command channel. Activating Project Horizon. The space around Earth rippled. The Dominion fleet's energy weapons suddenly transformed into solid matter, their own shots becoming physical objects that crashed back into their ships. Their shields flickered and died as the laws of physics themselves seemed to turn against them. "What have you done?" the Dominion Supreme Commander demanded. "We changed the rules," Blake replied simply. "That's what humans do." The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it was over, the greatest invasion fleet in galactic history had been reduced to scattered debris and retreating ships. Earth stood unscathed, protected by defenses that rewrote the basics of space warfare. In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Gray watched the battle recordings in silence. Finally, he spoke. "We were right to warn against involving humans, but we were wrong about why. We thought they would bring chaos to the galaxy. Instead, they'd brought evolution. On Earth, celebrations erupted across every continent. Humanity had faced its first major interstellar threat and emerged victorious. But in the secure command bunker, Blake and Reed were already discussing the implications. "They'll be back," Blake said. "Maybe not soon, but they'll be back." Reed's crystalline form pulsed with what humans now recognized as determination. "And we'll be ready. Humanity has changed everything. Warfare, technology, the very way we think about space itself." Blake looked at the battle data, already thinking about improvements to their defenses. "That's the thing about humans," he said. "We never stop changing, never stop innovating. The galaxy wanted stability. Instead, they got us." The turning point wasn't just in the war. It was in the evolution of galactic civilization itself. And it was only the beginning. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was fuller than ever, with representatives from every spacefaring species in attendance. Even the Dominion had sent delegates, though they sat far from the human representatives. Admiral Blake stood before the council, his presence itself a sign of how much had changed. Humans had never been allowed in this chamber before. "The war is over," he announced. "The Dominion has agreed to peace terms." Elder Grey's ancient eyes studied the human carefully. "And what terms did they agree to?" "Not the ones you might expect," Blake replied. "We didn't demand territory or reparations. We asked for open technological exchange and free trade between all species. No more secrets, no more isolation." The chamber erupted in murmurs. This was not how wars typically ended in the galaxy. Victors took. They didn't share. Commander Reed stepped forward, his crystalline form glowing with what humans now knew was pride. "We have something to confess to the Council," he said. The Meridians were never truly desperate. The revelation shocked the chamber into silence. "We saw humanity's potential," Reed continued. "We saw a species that could break the stagnation that had gripped our galaxy for millennia. Yes, we defied the Council's warning. But look at what that defiance has achieved." On display screens around the chamber, images showed the changes already spreading through the galaxy. Hybrid human-alien technology was revolutionizing everything from space travel to medicine. Species that had never cooperated were now working together, inspired by humanity's approach to innovation. "You manipulated us," Blake said to Reed, but he was smiling. "You knew exactly what would happen." "We predicted you would fight differently," Reed admitted. "We didn't predict you would change everything." The Dominion's lead delegate stood. "Our civilization has ruled space for 10,000 years. We thought we knew everything about warfare, about technology, about power. Then humans showed us that everything we knew was just a starting point." Elder Grey raised his hand for silence. "And that is precisely why we warned against involving humans. Their influence cannot be contained. They do not merely adapt to the galaxy. They make the galaxy adapt to them." "Is that really such a bad thing?" Blake asked. "Look at what's happened since we joined the galactic community. More innovations in 6 months than in the previous century. Species working together who never would have before. Problems solved that everyone thought were unsolvable." The evidence was undeniable. Human approaches to technology and problem-solving had sparked a renaissance across known space. Their habit of combining different species' technologies had led to breakthroughs that benefited everyone. "There is no going back," Elder Grey announced finally. "Humanity is now part of our community. They have earned their place, not just through warfare, but through their ability to inspire change." As the council session ended, Blake and Reed walked through the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. "So what now?" Blake asked. "What's next for humanity in the galaxy?" Reed's crystalline form shimmered with amusement. "That's not for us to decide. You humans never do what anyone expects anyway." Back on Earth, in research facilities and laboratories, humans were already working on new innovations. They weren't just combining alien technologies anymore. They were creating entirely new ones, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. The galaxy was changing, evolving, growing. Species that had been set in their ways for thousands of years were learning to think differently. The age of stagnation was over. As Blake prepared to return to Earth, Elder Grey approached him one last time. "We were wrong to try to keep humanity isolated," the ancient being admitted. "Sometimes the greatest wisdom is knowing when to let go of old fears." Blake nodded. "The galaxy needed change. We needed new challenges. Looks like we found each other at the right time." As humanity stepped fully into its role in galactic society, one thing became clear. They had been warned not to involve humans, but their defiance of that warning had created something unprecedented. A galaxy ready to face its future with innovation, cooperation, and endless possibilities. The story wasn't ending. In many ways, it was just beginning.